Hey, so this is another video lecture tutorial on stoichiometry, and this is the second example that I have where I'll be calculating liters of a reactant needed if you're given liters of one of the other reactants. The example I want to go over with you is found on page 6 of your Unit 9 notes. And it says how many liters of oxygen gas at STP are required to react with 7.98 liters of ethane gas at STP in a combustion reaction. So here's the balanced chemical formula where we have ethane reacting with oxygen, which means it's burning, and the product of combustion is always water and carbon dioxide gas. So the question tells us that we have 7.98 liters of ethane. So I always write it by the substance that it applies to. And the questions ask me how many liters of oxygen would I need for this amount of liters to react. And we're stipulating the conditions of STP. So we're starting with the 7.98 liters of ethane that the problem gave us. And like all the other calculations we've been doing recently, we need to convert this to moles. That's the only way we can really relate between substance in a reaction. So in this case, though, which is a little different from what we were doing last week, is that we have liters here. So we're dealing with something in the gas phase. So we're using the relationship of moles and liters. I'm trying to cancel liters of ethane. So that's what's going down here in the denominator. Liters of ethane. And I want to convert it to mole. And the equivalent is 1 mole of a gas at STP occupies a volume of 22.4 liters. So this is the step that we're using to convert to moles. So if it helps you to write that to yourself, that this step is to convert to moles, then I would write that. The next step is what we've been working on recently, is the mole ratio. So the purpose of this step is your mole ratio. I'm going to go back and label this a little bit better. So I have ethane here, C2H6. I know that's what needs to go in the denominator then. The question's asking me about oxygen, so that's what goes in the numerator here. And then we use the coefficients as the ratio between the two. There's a 7 in front of oxygen, and there's a 2 in front of ethane. So there's a 7-to-2 ratio between those two substances. And then the next step, we need to go back to liters because the question is asking us how many liters. I have oxygen here, moles of oxygen. And the equivalent is 1 mole of oxygen occupies 22.4 liters. And then you multiply across, divide by what's on the bottom, and we get 27.3 liters of O2. So you might notice this is actually very similar to the type of problems we had for the quiz last week, except now we're dealing in liters. But last week you learned how to go from grams to moles, mole ratio back to grams. In these examples, we're doing a similar process where we're going from liters to moles, mole ratio back to liters. So that's the end of this tutorial in how to calculate the number of liters of one reactant if you're given a specific amount of liters of another reactant.